Welcome back for another fun adventure in the Curse of the Crimson Throne. We are getting ready to start the Ambassador's Secret. Cressida Croft has introduced us as new recruits to Carvosa's most renowned teacher of swordplay. And we've been asked to go gather evidence against the King of Spiders. So in this adventure, the danger is going to be Devargo Barvasi. And we have non-closing henchmen, Chittersnap, and monstrous spiders, which will be proxy A's. When preparing the Storybanes, we'll set aside non-closing henchman evidence and shuffle one proxy B for it into each location. So basically at each spot, we're going to have two different non-closing henchmen, with one being the evidence. So we've got our base with two people in it now. Den of Iniquity, Spider Nest, and Boat. The end of your turn, you may examine the top card of your location, then put that card on top of a location. So potentially taking some from one place and putting them on top of another place. When you close your location, if the number of evidences displayed is greater than or equal to the number of characters, you may summon and encounter the danger. If you defeat, we win. And for reward, each character will get a hero point and rally the supporter Carlo or Cini. At the end of the last adventure, I stated I was going to keep a hero point, but let's face it, I've got a priest. We might as well spend our points. So I've taken the upgrade to gain the skills Fortitude Constitution of +2 and Perception Wisdom +2 for Kira. And for Cass, for your combat check, you may use melee, place a D12, and add the magic trait. So that seems like a good upgrade for sure for her. So once again, our base location cannot be closed until all other locations are closed, or until it has no cards and no characters are added when it closes automatically. Villains cannot escape to this location. When you explore, draw the top 3 or number of adventure cards, which is 1. Keep 1 and return the rest in any order. Then do 1. We can draw a card, heal a card, recharge any number of cards, or remove one of your scourges. And of course, if we leave the area without one of these cards displayed, they will go back into this location stack. For this location, when you would bury or banish an alchemical or liquid boon for its power, you may do so with an ally or a blessing instead. To close your guard, either bury a random boon and suffer the scourge drained, or bury an alchemical boon. And when closed, you may banish an ally or a blessing to draw an alchemical or liquid boon from your bury pile. And we're going to start with Cass at this location. Spider Nest. Monsters you encounter gain the vermin trait, and all their damage is poison. Summon and defeat the Storybane monstrous spider to close her guard, and no effect when closed. But the dangerous thing is there's 5 monsters here. And then we've got the boat. When you move, any local characters may move with you. To close her guard, succeed at a Wisdom or Survival 6 check, and when closed, no effect. So to sum up, for the win condition, we need to have 2 evidences displayed. Then we can summon and counter the danger to defeat it for the win. And at the end of our turn, we may examine the top card of our location and then put that card on top of a location. So not necessarily the same location. Get our starting hand sizes for Kess. Drawing 5 cards. And looking for an ally. And we have 2, so we've got a Porcupine and a Guard, Horn of Battle Clarity, our half plate, and a blessing. Then we will put our Avalanche card in her hand. And for Kira, she's looking for blessings, drawing 5 cards. And she has a blessing, Hero deck, a horse, and 2 spells. And she will get the dance card. So starting off with the hour, no effect. Okay, so we'll take a peek here. Finding a Plague Mask, needing an Intelligence Craft check of 4. Our Intelligence check is a D6. So we'll see what happens here. Getting a 5. So we now have a plague mask to add to our hand size. We'll go ahead and display our half plate. So when we suffer combat damage, you may draw this card to reduce it by 2. And if proficient, when you suffer any damage, you may bury to reduce it to 0. And you may succeed at a Fortitude 6 check to recharge instead. So since we have 6 cards in hand, we'll go ahead and use our guard. Discard to explore. This exploration, when you suffer damage, reduce it by 1. And then we will find our proxy B, which is evidence. When examined, encounter this barrier we didn't examine. So if we need intelligence, wisdom, knowledge, or perception of 11. So intelligence is our best bet with a D6. We will go ahead and have Kira do a little dance. So on another character's check, discard to bless twice. And of course, when we discard our Herald card, we will also draw a card, getting another blessing. So we get 2 more D6s in this, needing an 11. Getting a 12, 14. So we'll go ahead and just display this card. As it states on here, if defeated, display this barrier next to the scenario. So we need to find a second one and close 2 more locations. That's a fairly decent start. So we got 5 cards. We'll go ahead and end our turn. We'll examine the top card of our location. It's a bodyguard, and wouldn't mind having that. So we'll put it back on top of that spot. And pass turn to Kira. No effect for the hour. She'll take a look inside the boat. Finding a Deathbane light crossbow, needing dexterity ranged of 8. Her dexterity is a D4. So there's no way she's going to pass that. So we'll just discard. And we've got 2 abilities going off at the end of the turn. She'll take a look at this. So now she's got a barrier coming up on her next turn. And actually, we'll just go ahead and put that back on the spider's nest. And for her other item, for her healing cleric ability, we'll recharge a divine card to heal a local character or card. So we'll recharge that and then shuffle her only card back into her deck. And that will end her turn. She already has 5 cards in hand. Back to Kess for the hour, no effect. We'll take a look, knowing we've got an ally coming up, needing charisma, diplomacy, fortitude of 6. Our diplomacy is a D8 plus 1. And we'll see if that's good enough. So we got a 6 plus 1, so a total of 7. So now we have a bodyguard. When a local character suffers damage, recharge to reduce it by 3. Discard to explore. This exploration, when you suffer damage, reduce it by 2. And then we have 6 cards in hand, so we'll go ahead and use our porcupine. Discard to explore. If the first card you encounter is a monster, you may recharge this card instead. So not a monster, so that'll stay in our discard pile. So we've got some magic hide armor. Constitution, Fortitude, Survival of 7. So for our character, we have a Fortitude of a D8 plus 1. So we'll see if we can get lucky and find that. Getting an 8, 9. So now we've got some magic hide armor. And when display this card, when you suffer cold or combat damage, you may recharge to reduce it by 2. On your combat, Constitution or Fortitude check, you may recharge to add your survival modifier. I've been told you can have multiple armors displayed next to your character, so even though it's not very thematic, I guess we're packing the hide armor underneath of our half plate. We will end our turn by examining the top card. Does not have a trigger ability, so we're just going to put that on top of the spider's nest. So my goal, as you can see, is to keep examining, fill up the spider's nest, and hopefully close the outer two locations. Pass on to Kira. Your check against an animal or elemental card, add a d4. We'll go ahead and use her hero deck, reload to examine the top 3 cards of any character's deck and return them in any order. We'll reload that on our own deck and then take a look at the top 3 cards. Finding a spell and a blessing. So we'll just put them back in this order. And then proceed looking into the boat, finding some mud. So to defeat, we need Strength Survival of 6 or Constitution Fortitude of 8. Our Strength is going to be a D8, and Constitution is a D6, so we'll go with the D8 there. Now we did upgrade to get the Fortitude Constitution +2, but that's still a D6 +2. So I'll just stay with the D8 for the strength check. And we'll go ahead and bless our own check here, adding another D8. Looking for a 6. Getting a total of 13, so we've made it past the drowning mud barrier. Go ahead and end our turn, examining the top card. There's no trigger ability. So we'll just move this sage over to the spider nest. And then use our healing ability, recharging a divine card to heal 1 card in our discard pile. And then we have 2 cards in hand, so we draw 3 more cards. Getting our hero deck, an aid spell, and our snake bite dagger. Pass turn over to Cass. On your check against a spell, add a d4. Take a look further in the den, finding a fox, needing a wisdom survival of 5. Our wisdom is a d4. Not too concerned with that, so we'll just go ahead and discard the card. Then we will end our turn examining, finding a wand of force missile, which is not something that she'd be too good at getting, so we'll just put that on top of another location. And pass turn to Kira. On your check, you may discard a card to reroll 1 die showing a 1 or 2. We'll take a look down here, finding a Necrophidian, needing a combat of 12. It's immune to mental and poison, vulnerable to bludgeoning, and if undefeated, suffer the scourge dazed. So we have Viper Strike, Poison Trait, so not any good. Do have a Snakebite Dagger, does not have poison over here. We may add it, so we'll choose not to. So for a combat check, we'll use our melee plus a d4. Our melee is a d8 plus 2. We'll get the d4 plus another 1. Not feeling too confident with that, so we'll go ahead and use our aid spell. On any check, freely banish to add a d4 plus the level we're on, so it'll be a d4 plus another 1. And we'll set that over here for the recovery phase. So we are looking for a 12. Getting 6, 7, 8. Exactly 12. So we have defeated this construct. Go ahead and use this to reload to look at the top 3 cards of Kessa's deck. Put this spike gauntlet back on top. Guide, and we already have enough armor on us. Into turn, we'll examine the card. So we know there's evidence coming up. But this evidence has a trigger ability on it. So when examined, encounter this barrier, adding a d8 to your check to defeat. Using intelligence, wisdom, knowledge, or perception, needing an 11. We now have perception, which is a wisdom +2. So that'd be a D10 +2. And nothing else to boost that. So we got 10 showing, so 12. So we found our second piece of evidence. Now we just need to close 2 locations and beat up the danger. Then go into recovery. So divine 8 check. Divine is a D10 +3. Getting a 12. So we'll recharge this card instead. And then draw 2 cards to get up to a hand size of 5. Getting a blessing, and our hero deck is back. Back to Kess. No effect for the hour. We'll keep looking. Finding the Chitter Snap, so this is a non-closing henchman. Combat of 12. Before acting, a random local character summons and counters a barrier. So we're the only one here, so we'll be the random person. Let's take the first barrier in the deck, which is a Cut Purse Gang. Wisdom, Perception, Stealth of 5. We are not very perceptive, so Wisdom is a D4. The hour is level 0. So we can use this card on a local check, discard the bless. If the hour is 0, we can recharge it. So it gets us 2 D4s. So needing a 5. Getting a 4 and a 1. So we've defeated the barrier. And the rest of the card, after acting, we're going to suffer the Scourge Entangled. And then if undefeated, suffer the Scourge Poison. So for combat, we're going to get our melee die, which is a D10 +3. And then a D12, and add the magic trait. So needing a 12. Getting a 10 showing, and another 3. So our Chitter Snap is defeated. And after acting, we suffer the Scourge Entangled. All right, so Entangled. Cannot evade or move. And when your location is closed, remove this Scourge. So I'd love to go to the base to get rid of it, but since we can't move, we're stuck at the den till we're done. So 4 cards in hand, we will draw 1. Finding our Spiked Gauntlet. Pass turn to Kira. On your check, you may discard a card to reroll 1 die, showing a 1 or 2. She will take a look, finding an Acid Flask, needing Intelligence Craft of 4. Our Intelligence is a D6. Received a 1. So we will drop the flask and watch it bust on the floor. Go ahead and use our hero deck, reload that, and then look at our top 3 cards. And we will put them back in this order. And then with 4 cards in hand, we will, well, take a look at this. The holy symbol. We'll go ahead and just put that on top of the Spider's Nest deck. And then draw 1 card. Finding our Divine Insight we place there. Then back to Kess. May avenge by discarding a card. Take a look in here. Starting a brawl. So strength, dexterity, melee of 5. Before acting, each other local character summons and counters this barrier. So no one else is at this location. If undefeated, we'll suffer 2 combat damage. Draw encounters. If any character defeated this barrier, we will banish it. So strength, dexterity, or melee. Our melee is a D10 plus 3. So anything but a 1. So we've got a total of 9. So we've defeated the barrier. We will end our turn, examine the top card, finding a crocodile. No need to risk it. We'll just move him over to the spider's nest. Pass turn to Kira. No effect for the hour. We'll look at one more card in the boat. Finding a hellhound. So it's immune to fire, vulnerable to cold. Before acting, each local character suffers 1 fire damage. Sorry, horse. We'll heal you later. We'll go in with our dagger, using our melee, plus a D4 plus 1. So our melee is a D8 plus 2. So this will be plus 3. Then we'll add a D4. And unfortunately, the hellhound is neither human or animal. The hour is 0, so we'll go ahead and on a local check, recharge this instead to bless. Getting another D8. And we're looking for a 10. Getting 4, 6, 7, and cutting it as close as we could. Getting a 10. So we defeated the hellhound. End of turn, we'll go ahead and examine the next card. No trigger effect, so just send a giant slug over to the spider nest. Then we will do our healing to recharge a divine card. To heal a local character, we've only got 1 card. And then draw 3 cards. Finding a Staff of Minor Healing, our Hero deck, and a Warhammer. Passing turn to Kess. When you heal, you may heal an additional card. I'll take a look at the last card here, finding a Dog Slicer weapon, Strength, Acrobatics, or Melee, 7. Our melee is a D10 plus 3. Getting a 12, so now we've got a Dog Slicer weapon with us. And then with an empty location, either bury a random boon and suffer the Scourge drained, or bury an alchemical boon. So item 2 is not an option, so we'll just take our hand, bury a random boon. So we'll just pick this one. So goodbye, Horn of Battle Clarity. We are now drained. On your check, subtract 1 for each die rolled. At the end of your turn, you may bury a divine boon to remove this scourge. But on the plus side, we've closed the location, so we're no longer entangled. And since this location is gone, we will move to another location, which is going to be our base. Then we will go ahead and just discard a card and draw another card, finding a guide. Pass turn to Kira. No effect for the hour. Take a look at the last card, finding Proxy A, which is our monstrous spider. So it cannot be evaded. All damage is poison. Before acting, succeed at a Strength, Acrobatics, or Perception 4 check, or suffer the Scourge entangled. So our Strength is a D8, but our Perception is a Wisdom plus 2. So that's going to be a D10 plus 2 there. Needing a 4. Getting a 4. We will go ahead and use Viper Strike, giving us our Divine plus 2d4. Our Divine is a D10 plus 3. And then throwing in 2d4. I'll put this in for recovery. So we need a 12. Getting 7, 8, 12, 15. So we defeated the spider. We'll then go ahead and attempt to close the location. Succeed at a Wisdom or Survival 6 check. Our Wisdom is a D10. So needing a 6. Getting a 9. So that will close this location out. And then we will move over to the base. Then we'll move over when you close your location if the number of evidence displayed is greater than or equal to the number of characters. There's 2 characters. We have 2 evidence showing. We may summon and encounter the danger. If you defeat it, win. So the danger, combat of 16 or charisma diplomacy of 12. Before acting, a local character summons and encounters the Storybane Knivesies. So on this one, on your check to defeat, you may recharge any number of knife weapons and add a D4 for each one recharged. So we need Dexterity Acrobats in ranged, and we will let Kess take care of this. So her Acrobatics is a D6 plus 1. Fortunately, no blessing, so I have to go with this die. So we've got a 1 in 6 chance. Getting a 4. So if undefeated, suffer 1d4 plus 1 ranged combat damage. So we are looking at 5 damage coming in. Go ahead and use our bodyguard. When a local character suffers damage, recharge to reduce it by 3. And then for the remaining, when you suffer combat damage, you may draw this card to reduce it by 2. So for combat, we need a 16. You can see Human Rogue. We're going to go after it with our dagger. So for our melee is a D8 plus 2. Then we get a D4 plus 1. And it gets an animal or human. May add another D8 and the poison trait. Then we're going to go ahead and use our dagger's powers again on a local combat check. Freely recharge to add a D4. You may use this power even if you have previously revealed this card on this check. So we're safe to use this ability even after using that one. So we get 1 more D4. Still not the best, but a little better chance. 2 D8s, 2 D4s, adding 3, needing a 16. And we get 7, 10, 14, up to 17. So we have defeated Devargo Barvasi. So with that, each character is going to get a hero point, and we rally the supporter Carlo or Orsini. All right, so a hero point for each of our characters. And our new supporter. While displayed on any combat check, after the roll, you may bury to add a D6. We can possibly upgrade it. On any combat check, you may bury to re-roll. So that will conclude the Ambassador's Secret. Hope you enjoyed this playthrough. If so, please be sure to click the like button below and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.